Fox News alert, Kamala Harris just bombed her first solo interview. She couldn't answer basic questions and struggled to say how she was different than Joe Biden. We'll have more on that in a second. Last night, Trump said there was no way he was doing another debate. Tonight, he's a little more open.
What would it take to do another debate? What would you need and want?
I wouldn't need anything. I could do it tomorrow.
Would you do it on
But
Fox
I've done
News?
2 debates. Everything was crooked in the second one. I did great with the debates, and I think they've answered everything. But maybe if I got in the right mood, I don't know. Right now I'm leading, and I'm leading in every single poll on the debates. Thank you very much.
So how do you put Trump in the mood? Will you give him a fair fight?
I thought the debate was great. I thought I did very well, but I was fighting 3 people. I was fighting the crazy left radical lunatics at ABC, I think considered the worst broadcaster out there. George Slobodanopoulos, that whole group, they're bad. And I lost a lot of respect for David Muir, a guy who has good hair, but not as good as it was 5 years ago.
We predicted Trump said, he didn't want to debate as a negotiation tactic to give him a little leverage to choose better moderators. Because what happened this week can't happen again.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent? The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country.
Biden's Justice Department just released their National Crime Victim Survey. Crime's actually up 37%. But you don't really need statistics to know crime's up. Just open your eyes. Kamala spewed hoaxes and lies about Trump, wasn't fact-checked once, but that was part of the plan. The other moderator, Kamala's sorority sister, Lindsay Davis, said CNN never fact-checked the first debate between Biden and Trump, and we saw what happened there. So ABC decided to step in. Quote, people were concerned that statements were allowed to just hang out and not be disputed by the candidate Biden at the time or the moderators. So the refs were crooked, and they bragged about it in a newspaper. It's so blatant that even Democrats are demanding a full investigation into the debate. Here's Clinton's former advisor. Listen.
I think that the day after suspicion here is really quite high, and I think that I think a review of all their internal texts and emails it really should be done by an independent party to find out to what extent they were planning on in effect, fact-checking just one candidate and in effect rigging the outcome of this debate. And I think this situation demands nothing less than that.
Trump should have known what was coming. Live fact-checking should have been a part of the debate negotiations with ABC. And Kamala telegraphed her strategy of provoking him. We told you, whoever was put on the defensive was going to lose. Trump's advisors put so much emphasis on him remaining calm and presidential that he forgot to follow his instincts and take control of the debate. We told him to turn to Kamala and ask her questions. Remember we talked about that? You can even speak directly to the moderators and say, guys, why don't you ask her why she keeps changing her positions? Go, ask her. The one time Trump did it, it really worked.
You should ask. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question. Would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
Even if it wasn't a perfect performance, Trump's message came across loud and clear. Kamala's didn't. Nobody knows where she stands, and she's still behind in the polls. Trump's numbers went up. Even Kamala's friends in Congress won't say what she stands for.
Do you have concerns that there's a lot of ambiguity surrounding Harris and what she exactly stands for and what she'll do as president?
I think you guys have to find another line of attack because she addressed all of the questions that were raised to her about so-called policy reversals. But you tell me why J.D. Vance went from being a never-Trumper to being a forever Trumper. I'm not going to answer for Kamala Harris, okay?
Is this more about focusing on getting Harris elected and then kind of working out the policy specifics later?
I mean, the narrative out there is like she doesn't have policy chops. That's crazy. Yeah, I disagree that she's changed her mind on all of those issues.
So you're not worried about the ambiguity surrounding Harris this close to Election Day?
I'm worried about the ambiguity surrounding Donald Trump. I'm also worried about his health because he didn't look good.
I think that she is her own person, and we have seen notable, we've seen her record in its totality.
We're less than 2 months from the election, and Democrats won't tell us Kamala's agenda. Behind the scenes, CNN reports that Kamala's internal numbers and battlegrounds are looking rough. And as pumped as Harris aides are about her debate performance earlier this week, they don't think it changed any of that. Top aides on the Harris campaign told CNN they fear if the election were held next Tuesday instead of 8 Tuesdays from now, Trump still would be in a good position to win. Kamala may have raised a lot of cash after the debate and demonstrated that she's more coherent than Biden, but she still looks completely lost.
Madam Vice President, how are you feeling about Pennsylvania?
I am feeling very good about Pennsylvania because there are a lot of people in Pennsylvania who deserve to be seen and heard. That's why I'm here in Johnstown, and I will be continuing to travel around the state to make sure that I'm listening as much as we are talking.
I'm feeling very good about Pennsylvania because there are a lot of people who deserve to be seen and heard. Who talks like that? Normal politicians would say, feeling great about Pennsylvania. It's a key state. Joe Biden and I have done a lot for the people of Pennsylvania. Rattle off a list of what you did, then rattle off the list of things you're going to do. Attack Trump, crack a joke, say goodbye. What's so hard about that? The woman looks frozen. Earlier in the day, she gave her first solo interview to Brian Taff. Ever heard of him? We hadn't either. He's a local action news anchor for the local ABC station in Philly. And Kamala could not get it together.
When we talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people, what are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, but a lot of people will relate to this. I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn. And I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. We have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business.
The question was, how are you going to bring down prices? And Kamala's answer was, I grew up around construction workers who took care of their lawns. And then I heard something about ambition and aspiration. Kamala's only idea to fight inflation was price controls, but she's not allowed to say that anymore because it's stupid. So she has nothing to say and just runs out the clock with childhood stories. And it got worse.
Some people have a question, given maybe your current role as Vice President of the United States, how different you are from Joe Biden.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work and maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore.
What did she just say? How are you different than Joe Biden? The entire goal of her campaign is to separate herself from Joe Biden. The campaign slogan is a new way forward. It's a new way forward from Joe Biden. So how exactly are you a new way forward? She couldn't answer. The interview continued.
Another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life.
Joe Biden's child tax credit is $3,000 and Kamala's is $6,000. Of all the things, border, inflation, crime, Israel, housing, the only difference between Kamala and Joe Biden is a $3,000 difference in the child tax credit. She continued.
My approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years to catch up to the 21st century around, again, capacity, but also challenges.
She's focused on today, but she's also focused on tomorrow. And not just around capacity, but also challenges. She doesn't have any new ideas. She can't say how she's different than Joe Biden. And she's so nervous you can hear her swallowing. Maybe she's nervous because she doesn't see a path to victory. New York Times polling says 63% of voters blame her for the border. 54% blame Kamala for rising prices. And the voters understand what the media doesn't. Kamala's been in the White House for 3.5 years, didn't deliver. And the country needs a change.
There are a lot more questions. Of course, I would love to ask Kamala Harris about her leadership style and her plans and how she plans to execute. But are those undecided voters saying, I'm going to kind of lean Trump here because I want change? I don't get it.
Mika doesn't get that people want change because high crime and high prices and open borders don't penetrate her beautiful cocoon. And to many successful people on TV, yeah, it doesn't penetrate. But to an American that cares about the country and cares about the American people, she should see how working Americans have gotten hammered by Biden-Harris. They don't get it, and they don't want to get it. It's tough to admit your party failed, easier to admit the other party's in a cult.
I don't think the polling's going to get better for him, but his cult base is locked in. This now, anytime he loses, it was rigged. And, you know, it is really depressing that people are stooping to that level, but that's what's going on.